Hey creators, welcome back to the club. We're your hosts. I'm Akila Friend.
And I'm Ebony Chapman.
And today, y'all, we are joined by writer noted for projects including Disney Plus's Diary of a Future President and BET's Boomerang and their Twenties series, all the things. But he's also known to me as a fellow UNC Chapel Hill grad. All right, so let's welcome LaDarian Smith to the club. We're so happy to have you.
So happy to have you.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm really excited to chop it up with y'all.
Yes.
And it will be a chop up for sure. It will be a chatty chat. So we're excited.
All the things. You know, it's always great when we get writers to talk more than they write. All right. So we're going to definitely do that.
Ooh. Oh, I was about to say, because I'm definitely more of a writer than a talker, but we'll see where we meet up. Yeah.
Yes. I guess before we delve in, I know we're going to focus the majority of this convo on 20 since the series season 2 just wrapped last month. But before we do, I feel like we need to know, and the audience needs to know a little bit about who we're talking to right now. Okay. So how about you talk to us about why you decided to pursue a career in writing in general?
Oh, well, I'll definitely give you like the Spark Noti version, but I've wanted to write my whole life, to be completely honest. I was the kid on the bus that would have a CD player, like with those old school headphones, and a composition book. And like, you can ask any of the friends that I grew up with around that time, like you open those composition books and it's like a whole series Bible. And it's funny because I didn't know what a series Bible was back then, but like if you open those composition books, you'd see episode breakdowns, you would see character descriptions, you would see like my plan for like the series as a whole. I even got so detailed with some of them to where like I knew what song I wanted like playing, like at what time, like just real meticulous stuff that like really I didn't see a point in doing other than just making my bus ride a lot shorter than it was. I used to have to catch 2 buses because I lived in the boonies and my school was downtown. And so to kill that time, I really retreated into my imagination a lot. And that was the result of that. It was not discouraged in my family, so I'm not gonna put that on my folks, but they definitely were like, this is cool, but you know, you need to go do something concrete with your life because writing is giving up and down, and they're not wrong. Like this career is very up and down, but you know, and you called to do something, you just called to do it. And I went to Carolina and was pre-med, and I joke often and say that those classes took me because I didn't take them. My GPA was so far in the toilet after my first semester, but you know, we here now. But you know, that first semester I really struggled because I went up there trying to do what other people wanted me to do versus what I knew in my heart, like I was being pushed to do. And I would find that would be like a recurring thing throughout my life, like choosing the practical thing or taking the leap. And so my career has really just been a bunch of leaps and a lot of having fear around like situations, but not letting the fear stop me from doing what I feel like I need to be doing. And so every detour that I've had in my life, from becoming a high school teacher, which was like the best decision that I could have ever made, to becoming a recruiter after that, and even like moving out here without a job. I did all of those things with a very healthy amount of fear in my system, but the desire to see what was on the other side of the fear just was always stronger. So
yeah, I mean,
there's so much there. There's so much there.
You said a lot. And, you know, for one thing, moving out here with not a job, I think, sir, that is the most risky thing you can do in LA. Like, I think that is insane, but I'm so happy you made it work for you. Bounce back real quick. Proud of you.
11 out of 10 do not recommend.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it either, but you know, sometimes it does work out like that for people. But I do want to kind of like go back to the fact that you were saying how like your imagination was your like retreat space. It was like your happy place where you could kind of go and like be yourself and kind of figure out these different characters. I just want to say that like you cannot pay for creativity. No. And like in this space of like so many people creating content, so many people creating shows and this, that, and the third, like there's so many things to watch. that you really do have to come out of like the most creative space or something that's really unique or something that can really connect to people for it to be relatable and be successful, which you seem to have worked on shows that do that and that do have the power of the eyes, because people need to be watching and seeing it. And so the fact that you have done that, I just want to like give you congrats, because that's A, not easy in LA, B, not easy to do, and then you have to really come outside of yourself
consistently.
Like,
it's not just a one-time thing either.
Thinking this is how I'm feeling, this is what we should push for. So I mean, amazing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, let's talk about, okay, again, taking it to the beginning, your composition notebooks. You said it was filled with stories down to the songs.
You saw these notebooks? You saw these notebooks?
You know, I mean, I might want to see it.
You might want to see it. Okay.
You talked about it. So we're going to delve right in right now.
Well, I'm saying y'all know each other. So I'm saying you didn't see the notebooks.
We're going to get to know each other very well.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, if you could say an example of like one of the stories you remembered, or probably even a song that you put towards something. We just want to get into your head a little bit. What happened?
No, y'all don't, because no, I got one. I wrote a scene in high school that was based on something that I did in real life. I ain't gonna give y'all super specifics, but long story short, I called somebody that I had a crush on, and I sang Ordinary People on the phone. Now, keep in mind, like, this is like mid 2000s, and like, we are very, you know, we in the adolescent stage. So like, we all kind of funky. We all got bad attitudes. we all going through it right now. And for whatever reason, I was like, I'm gonna call and I'm gonna sing this song and it's gonna go beautifully and this, that, and the third. When I tell you the amount of like cackling and laughter that I was on like the receiving end of when I like sang this song, because the boy had given the phone to his mom, like in the middle of the call.
Stop.
No.
She said I had a nice voice though. She did say she said I had a nice voice though. And so I ended up like using that as the basis for like one of the scenes that I wrote in that composition book, like just calling somebody and, you know, letting them know we don't know which way to go.
And it's like, I was like, did a voicemail get left or anything? Because I'm like, just the evidence of it all.
Nah, but now that I think about it, like I was 13, and Ordinary People is already such a, like, it is a very simple love song, but when you like really zoom out, it's super existentialist too. And so I had no business calling somebody at 12, 13, like saying any of the stuff that I was saying, but
it happens to the best of us. I remember a time, like, literally to break up with someone, I had, you used to burn the CDs or do whatever.
No, you didn't do a breakup CD.
We had, and the song was Let It Burn by Usher. And it was, so I understand.
And you gave it to him?
So I understand. And he received it.
Lord have mercy on that boy's soul.
That's how it went. But that's so, and it's so great to see that you were able to immediately even take that then and literally write a story around it and make it into like a character above yourself in a sense, you know?
I mean, I think the funniest thing about it is the mom had no idea I was trying to serenade her son. Like, I don't know what, to this day, I don't know what she thought I was on the phone doing, but she was like, yeah, you got a nice voice. And I'm just like, let me get off this phone.
She was not trying to see what was.
So what happened? Did you see him at school? Were you like, this is so awkward now? Like, I can't even.
We were actually really good friends for a long time after that. Like, again, and I think this kind of spills over into the 20 side of this conversation. Like, you get a lot of like jumbly feelings when you that age and you are also queer and you're also like being raised in a very conservative Christian environment, which is great if you plan on being conservative and Christian for the rest of your life. Anything that's not that, you know, you find clash. And so oftentimes what I would do is try to find other people that maybe knew like what was going on and like could, you know, relate. And in my very awkward attempts to build community by like singing on the phone and like other awkward things I've done, like it was just me looking like for somebody to connect with. That's all. And I think he recognized that more than anything because he was, you know, coming into his queerness as well. But, you know, back then you either want to talk about it or it's just some coded thing that is just off limits. And so for a long time we did a dance where it was off limits, and then got older and the communication like really picked up. And not even like in a romantic way, but very much like, I'm your brother, like we going through this thing together. And I got all of that from me trying to serenade him.
I love that. And the song choice, Ordinary People, at the end of the day, like that's that's what you displayed throughout the years. So I want to jump to something else that you mentioned, just you coming here, like Ebony mentioned, without a job, with obviously with a plan and with a plan of action and with, that grit and that hunger. But how did you take that to actually booking gigs, to actually booking yourself on some of these major networks doing these, amazing shows?
That's a good question. The first thing I did when I got out here was liquidate my retirement from teaching, because I needed to, I had to live. And so while I was, playing with that money and trying to see how long I could reasonably make it stretch, I was casting like the widest net with the contacts that I had amassed through trips to LA over the years, because I had been coming out here off and on since like 2015. And like every time I came out here, I tried to make it my mission to just at least shake one or two hands of people who like I could build with. Maybe not right then, but like later on, like I'm gonna be here one day. So like, let's just get to know each other now. And it was through those connections, but also through the connection that I was able to get from Denise Davis over at Color Creative. Well, she's not at Color Creative anymore, but Denise and Issa worked at Color Creative, and they launched a competition in 2017 that I entered, and 1,300 other people entered as well. And from those 1,300, they picked 2 to ultimately work with. And I ended up being one of the 2 that got his pilot option by Issa Rae Productions. And it was through that, plus the other connects that I had, that finally I was able to like get somebody on the line. And it was like, okay, we don't have anything glamorous for you, because I have to paint a realistic picture. I didn't come out here and like just start writing. It was very much, okay, you're here, we're glad you're here, but you're not about to be in a writer's room right away. Like you have to, quote unquote, pay your dues, or, go do something else that's completely unrelated, but like will get you like practical experience. And so my summer was spent doing that. I was a visual effects production assistant on a major Fox movie, Call It a While, with Harrison Ford. And then from there, I did various PA gigs throughout LA. Like if anybody was broadcasting anything, I'm like one of the first people casting the net. Like if I see somebody on Facebook looking for somebody to hold a microphone, like I'm like, where do you want me to be? Like, do I need to turn this mic up or down? Like, what do I do? That was very much my life when I first got here. And even when that work dried up, because sometimes that work does dry up, I'm the type that don't really like to sit around. Like my mom, she laugh at me all the time because I will like keep a job. And so when I wasn't a production assistant, I was actually a custodian at Planet Fitness. And so I spent a good chunk of my time out here mopping up other people's stuff and cleaning up stuff, and just keeping some money in my pocket and like some motivation. And that wasn't a particularly like I won't say happy time in my journey, but I did meet Marla Gibbs at the Planet Fitness. She came in there every Tuesday. And so
Marla Gibbs at Planet Fitness.
Right.
Wow.
Marla Gibbs goes to the Planet Fitness in Inglewood very religiously. At least she used to. I don't know if she still does, but she would be in there all the time. And, we just riff every now and then about her time in the industry and things to look out for, and all of that. And like I'm helping re-rack her weights and stuff. It was fun. It was fun. And so it was even like during that time, I'm seeing like the duality of all of this. It's like you're really just 1 degree away from making that leap. Like you just have to keep making the connections. And while you're making those connections and while you're building that portfolio, keep some money in your pocket.
You're 1 degree from making that leap. I feel like that's
our motto.
That's everything.
I say that all the time.
That's the motto. That's Hollywood. That's really when you want to be creative in this industry. That's what you got to do. And I love the fact that you are you were humble enough, and you, again, it's that hustle. Like, listen, no job is too small, no job is too big, but I'm gonna hold my dream the whole way through. So it's
LOL,
like,
but while we're talking about this, let's jump into 20s, because Hattie, Miss Thang over there, she's not humble at all, I don't think. I feel like she is straight up like, this is my dream, this is what I want to do, and she's not really willing to like let that waver in any way. Like, she's not getting another job, she's not like, she doesn't have her own place, she's couch hunting and hopping. So it's like,
explain the Hattie character, because that's obviously what we both see. Even with the UPS situation, I was like, she was not even serious about trying to get, get
on
off the
phone.
ground.
And I mean, for you, who's someone who's had that experience, I'm like, why did we write her like this?
So y'all got to get off my girl Hattie. She tried, but no. What I've always said about Hattie, she represents me, like, to me, my impulses. You know, it's not necessarily the thing I'm gonna do in real life, but I think there's a heavy degree of like escapism that I find when we're talking about Hattie, like when we were talking about Hattie in the room, like when we were breaking season 2, it was like, okay, my journey wasn't like this at all, but you know, like, let's flip it, like in some bizarro world where I'm not like limiting myself, or like I'm not struggling with the things that I am struggling with, and like I am like, you know, more willing to like be a hot mess, what would I do? And more often than not, Hattie is the character in the show that answers that question for me. Like, what would I do if I like, wait, can we cuss on here?
Yes.
Okay. What would I do if I really didn't give a fuck sometimes? Like that, and Hattie typically answers that question for me. So
it's crazy, because I feel like she do be giving fucks about things. It's just the wrong things she be giving a fuck about. Like, she cares so much about like dating and the girls and being distracted. Like, she's very distracted.
She loses.
Okay, so you're saying it in like a different way. Like, I'm so career minded that I don't be thinking about the stuff that Hattie be thinking about. And so sometimes I wonder, what would it be like to like take the gas off this and like worry about all this other stuff that she's worrying about?
If you were less like Marie and more like Hattie, because Marie,
I am definitely a Marie. Like, and I'm not mad at that. Like, I'm not mad at that at all. But Marie's not gonna jeopardize anything for the coin.
Okay, wait. No. We can't move on from Hattie yet, okay? Because
Hattie is gonna be involved the whole time.
I still have a question about Hattie before we like get too deep somewhere else. Okay, my question is why. So when I'm watching, I'm like, there is something weird and interesting going on with like Ida and Hattie, and I'm like, this is like, she seems really interested, and I don't know, like it was giving little like cringy vibes at first, because I was like, wait, what is happening? Okay. Like, is the boss thing on her? But then they like end up having their fling or thing or whatever, and obviously Ida is older, she has her career, like she's having fun, whatever her thing is, she ends up really liking Hattie. But and I also want to shout out the fact that I think at the end when she broke it off, I thought that was very mature of her, because as a 20-year-old, I don't think you sometimes have, you like know it's not right, but like you still stay in it. And I was proud of Hattie for breaking it off. That's one. But why did we make that a thing? Because I feel like it's normally like you sleep your way to the top, right? But in this sense, she got fired and she was sleeping with the boss. So I was like, wow, this is interesting duality there.
And you know what? I wish I had like some profound answer for you other than like, that's just the way Lena decided that we wanted to tell the story. And I mean, I think that's just a testament to how like grounded the show is, but also like, you know, flipping some concepts on their heads. Because I've never seen a situation where you get the thing you wanted, you blow it like to help your friend, and then like you're like sleeping with the person who fired you. That's too close. Like it's too much for me. But again, Hattie represents my impulses. And so are there some situations that like I knew would be a dumpster fire that like I avoided, but like I kind of wanted to go get burnt anyway? Yes. And I think that's a testament to being in your 20s. What they say about the frontal lobe, it's not done till you're like, what, 27 or something like that? Yeah, 25 or 27 or something like that. And I feel like Hattie is very much like the hyper extension of that. Like that thing up here is not developed yet. And I think when it is, it's going to be over for everybody.
Yes, she's ready. She's ready for sure. And I think too, like with Ida, at first I was like, you're getting this cold, anything she wants, she gets, very much like in control situation that seems to feel like folks who are in their 20s feel that folks who are not have it all together. And then I think as the season goes on, specifically season 2, we start to realize Ida B is as much of a mess, if not sometimes more, than the folks that collectively are in their 20s. And so I love that happened and that she was able to really share, like, for instance, the fact that she wasn't as open, or the fact that she isn't like kind of like outwardly facing, quote unquote, as you say, you know, are we saying the same thing? Go ahead, LaDarian.
No. I was just going to say, like, I think the thing to answer, like, go back to Ebony's question, like, I think the thing that really drove the two of them together was ego. Like, I think like they really like brought things out of each other that they weren't finding in other people. And like, regardless of like the appropriateness of it, or like the like superior inferiorness, like that sometimes like gets, you know, perpetuated through stuff like that, I do think that the connection was still genuine at the end of the day. And so I don't know, like, I don't think it was necessarily right, but I can understand like why they continued seeing each other after she got fired from Coco's Butter. Because like, why wouldn't you at that point? It's not a workplace violation.
Yeah. For Ida, it's like, yeah, this works exactly for me. But I think for Hattie, I think it could have worked for her too, because even for instances where Ida was trying to like, you know, critique her script, Hattie wasn't trying to hear that part of her. Like, and I think what Hattie mentioned at one point of the season that I thought was really profound, she said, listen, I don't need you to protect me in a sense. I need you to just be there for me, to love me.
She said, I need your love. And I was like, that's so lofty. That's so lofty. Like, what does that even like entail? Like, break that down for me, Hattie. That's what I would have said.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I also just think like how I relate to those two characters is like, just like the age difference between the two, and like how, you know, I particularly date older men. And so not like daddy age, but like I feel like
I was like, that was lofty.
That sounded very like old, like I'm dating an 80-year-old, like no. But I mean at least 5 to 6, maybe 7 years older than I am. So it's like that age difference where it's like in that age range, you do have someone who has like a more power dynamic, someone who maybe has their career more together, has more money, has more power, whatever. And I think it's interesting that they're in that same field. But yeah, I think Hattie could have been a little bit more open to Ida's critique or her help, especially as a young writer who like doesn't have her stuff on the air.
Well, now I have a question. Do you think that Hattie should have been more open to the arrangement?
Yeah, I think so. I think she should be more open. Okay, we love a disagreement. Let's go ahead. You say what you gotta say. Why are you there, Hattie? Why are you there? Be honest. Why were you even interested in Ida to begin with, knowing that your eyes be wandering and you be going to this one? So there was something in Ida B that you specifically wanted out of her, and I think it was always that power. It wasn't necessarily the fact that she's a beautiful woman that, you know, you think, because at first I think one of the things that she didn't even know for sure that she was even, you know, a part of the LGBTQ community. So it's kind of like,
yeah, it's like that Lil Nas X lyric. I only want to fuck the ones I envy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very much that.
Very much that. And, you know, and oftentimes that is, I'm not going to speak to, you know, everyone has their own reason, but oftentimes I would say that is why you seek out someone who's older specifically, because there's that power dynamic that you want, you know, and that's kind of where you want to emulate, and you want that person to directly help you. And so like, you know, or at least bring you along for the ride. And I feel like that was the situation with Hattie, and she was kind of denying that in order to do that, you need to grow.
But that's my thing. It's like, Hattie had that space to let Ida help her, to critique the scripts, to be in bed with her, to like,
he had a direct line to everything.
Right, to like pick her brain and do the whole thing. And she totally kind of like stiff-armed it low key. And so for my opinion is why I was proud of her, was because she actually really, I think, started to really like Ida, like for like, maybe in the beginning it was like a power dynamic and ooh, like you're touching something you shouldn't have type thing. But then once they got into it and Ida let her in a little bit, it was like, no, I really like you. Like you don't want to claim me in public. You don't want to have me outside. You want to have me to yourself, and you're renting out places and having little picnics at your house, but like you're not claiming me. And so
Sure.
And so I'm just like, I think at some point Hattie was like, you know what, I really actually like you. And so now at this point, since this isn't giving me what I want, I feel like that was growth for Hattie to be like, you have all the power, you have all the things I want, you're in the job, you're in the position, but I am saying no to you.
But why? Think about that. You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking she said no because she didn't invite her to then claim her power that she worked her ass for. You know what I mean? She broke the glass ceiling. She did what she needed to do. And Hattie just wants to tag along and ride her wave. Like, that's what I thought it was. And she felt some type of way because Ida's like, nah, sis, you're going to be in the corner until you show me that you actually deserve to be standing where I'm standing because you're willing to work for what I work for. I see when I'm being even subconsciously used.
So I see both sides like Chanel. Like, I definitely, I see both sides of this. I didn't think about it the way you were saying it though, Akilah. Mm-hmm. Like, I haven't thought about it like that at all.
I mean, it makes sense, but I just disagree.
Be on my level. Be on my level.
I think like people in different stages of life, meaning like
it's literally like Hattie's like show me off, and Ida's like be somebody I can show off.
Period. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Really,
about it.
I thought Ida too was just not. I didn't feel like she was open. Period about being a part of the LGBTQ community. Like I didn't think anyone in her office even knows that she likes girls. Like I didn't think she was even open about that at all.
I'm naive though. I feel like if in like this is like the hopeless romantic in me maybe, but like I feel like if you really feeling somebody, like you will like go through them leaps and bounds eventually. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just think that like if it was really supposed to be something, that they would have eventually gotten there and like she would have been like, you know, like, yeah, I got this career and yeah, this and yeah, that. And like eventually she would have had that stand in the sun moment with Hattie. But to Akilah's point, I don't want to stand in the sun with somebody that getting their car towed every week, like fighting with the UPS man about lifting a box, and I see both sides.
Yeah, I hear you. Like that is embarrassing, child. Like you know,
like acceptance of queerness aside, like are you somebody I want to pull up with?
That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
And speaking of that, I really think this show does a great job of showing a lot of different sides of the LGBTQ community.
Oh, we gonna talk about Chuck.
We're not talking about Chuck. I was not gonna go. We can talk about Chuck. But I did want to bring something that I found like it blew my mind in a way, and I was like, wow, I've never thought about this. So when Hattie goes back into the coffee shop with her friend, with the girl that works at the coffee shop, Adina. Mm-hmm. And she talks to her and she was like, hey, I just want to like basically, you know, make sure we cool, make sure we good. And Adina's like, yeah, we good. Like, I'm not even tripping on you. Right. But she wanted to date Hattie. And Hattie was kind of like, nah, I like, you know, girls. I like, you know, this type of girl, you're not my type. And she kind of was like, you don't know what kind of type I am. You don't know what I look like when I take my hair down, when I take my clothes off, if I'm submissive, if I'm aggressive, you don't know nothing. And I was like, yo, it's interesting because both are facing or present themselves masculine, but at the same time, like there is gonna be some type of dynamic in the bedroom that I never even considered or thought about as like a cis, like straight woman. And, you know, so I was like, wow, like, I don't know, it just opened my eyes, or I was like, I really like that they put that in there because it gives people a different perspective of just like what someone who presents as masculine could, you know, give. Like it's complex. It's not just like
it's the same thing as intrusive relatives asking you who the boy and who the girl when it's two like masculine presenting dudes.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's facts. Oh, that's true. That's true.
Who the girl?
How would you even respond to that? I don't even
pass potato salad.
Like we're both women. Thank you. Bye.
or neither. Hello, my name is, his name is, period.
Right. Good to you too.
I thought what with that too, kind of going off your point, like really want to delve into Chuck as a character, because I think him and even that relationship with Marie, and that kind of blends into the main episode that you're credited for within 20 season 2. Forget the title of that episode, if you could just
Killing Me Softly with his song.
Period. Okay, Killing Me Softly with his song. I thought that episode, season 2, episode 3, for y'all to go back and watch it, was really the turning point of that entire season. So like literally so many bombs dropped, some that we've already talked about.
That's when they were in counseling, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, right I think it was
They
right
went
before
to counseling the episode after.
Yes,
Oh,
right
okay.
before counseling. But
Okay.
this was the actual engagement party, I would say. Like,
Okay.
and
Oh,
all
yeah.
that was
Mhm.
happening.
This is the episode where everybody's relationship got shook up.
Yes. And we talked about Hattie, we talked about Ida B, etc. But I want to let's delve
talk
into
about
Chuck. Let's
and
talk
Marie.
about Chuck and Marie, because I was shocked. I was shocked that Chuck revealed himself is kind of loose, but really showed himself to also have a relationship, or at least a kissing episode scenario with his friend.
I thought it was interesting.
Let's get into why that even appeared.
I mean, so like I was saying to y'all earlier, like this journey can be very, isolating, especially like depending on where you grow up, and also just what expectations people have placed on you, what expectations the world has placed on you, and the ones that you placed on yourself. And I think no character on the show encompasses like that world of expectations more than Chuck. It's very much like, what your life is versus what you want it to be. Like you want a life that don't just look good, like you want a life that is good. And so I think a lot of Chuck's floundering like around his sexuality, or like refusal to even like tap into that or open the door at first, is him knowing like, if I open this door, like what else am I gonna have to unlearn about myself? And it is when you do decide to like take that leap, and I think it's different for everybody. Like some people say they never had to take a leap, they've just always been out, like they just always have been who they are, and that's cool. But a lot of us like have not been like on easy street with that, and I think Chuck is just meant, in my opinion, like even when writing him and conceptualizing what that conversation between him and Chance would look like, was meant to be a love letter to like the men like around, like Black men in this country who do struggle with the fact that they are not wholly straight. Like, and I say wholly straight because how you identify at the end of the day, I think that's a personal thing between you and you. But like knowing that you're not just what people want you to be, when like your entire life has been predicated on you doing the things that people want you to do and dotting every I and crossing every T, it can be particularly anguishing, like on your mind. And so I think 3 was very much the start of that unraveling for him in a lot of ways. And just like, what do I even want?
Yeah.
And like, what have I had permission to want versus like, what have I not had permission to want that I do really want?
Right. Because I feel like up until that point, we all as an audience were kind of looking more as Marie is going to be the one to finally like blow up ship and say she doesn't want to do this anymore, because Chuck was moving so fast with the wedding plans. Like the minute they got engaged, he had the spreadsheet together, he was ready for the party, he was doing all this.
So like
and
the woman's job, right? Like I feel like women, we're like stereotyped to be like bridezilla, and like you got to have the wedding dates and and guys are like, I don't care.
It's like
when we talked about it in the room, it was very much, no, this dude is a perfectionist. Like he's gonna make sure everything goes off without a hitch, because that is who he has been conditioned to be. And you counter that with Marie already not being sexually satisfied like in their relationship and not knowing how to articulate that. Like dude was literally on top of her in episode, what was that, 2? And he was fantasizing about Iman, which I get it. I do.
We all do. We all do.
I get it. But like that in itself is just like, you not happy. And then we find out in 203, like, oh, he's got some stuff like he need to figure out too. And I just love, like, I love that Lena decided to volley it instead of making it like, oh no, he is struggling with his sexuality and he go cheat and it's gonna mess it. Like it could have went very soapy. And I think that what I loved about working on this show more than anything was that the mandate was always to keep it grounded and like really make decisions like, or like have the writing like reflect the characters making decisions versus us just trying to like throw them into situations and seeing what happened. Like every single thing that happened this season, I believe, was birthed out of true character motivations and like obstacles that came about when like characters weren't on the same page or like some tensions were starting to like just get out of whack. And so Chuck and Marie, like they're like the prime example, I think, of that for me. Like they just weren't on the same page at all. And like by the time you get to 204, where Marie is sitting on the couch like, hey, let's open this up.
Yes.
I was actually really surprised
Shocked.
at that like conversation. And I also want to commend the writing on that too, because I feel like stereotypically like Black women were not gonna be like, let's explore. Like you find out that your man is like bisexual,
Or even to say
like,
you already knew. That's, let's take it back to that.
Well, I mean, the thing is that I thought it was interesting, I'll say that, that when Chuck was getting like the business card from the waiter or something, that Marie thought that was something. And I was like, oh, like, why would she think that like, why would that be something that she's like, oh, this man must be bisexual? Like, I would have not thought that. I was like, oh.
No, I get that. I think the bi porn was the telltale sign, like in season 1. Like if you ain't know then.
And didn't do anything then.
No, she was looking. She was like, what the hell are we watching? She was
my favorite thing about that scene is like the little slow zoom in while they watching it. It's like, oh, they about to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, she was not. I don't think she was still in it then. She was like, all right, if you're into this. Because when they put the screen on, like, so we could see what was going on, I thought the person that was going to come in the door was like another woman. Like, obviously, like, I think that's what guys, like straight men normally go for, 2 girls,
yeah.
right? And then you see the other guy come in, and then it was like they just started going at it, and you were like, oh, okay.
But to go from like the levity of that to getting this backstory in 203 that really just kind of punch you in the gut, like I really, again, it's just a testament to like where the show is going too. It's like this could have been such a stereotypical and like cartoony bisexual reveal, and instead like you get this commentary on like the unrealistic expectations that we put on Black men, and like how, you know, when girls do it, it's sexy. Like, oh, she a freak. Like, yeah, it's real easy to go there with that. But then when a dude is saying the same thing, like you challenging his manhood, or you coming for him, or you're disgusted. And I ain't gonna say that's the reason why like a lot of stuff is the way that it is, because I think there are like a myriad of factors that play into why stuff is how it is. But I think there'd be a lot less angry Black men if y'all let them go explore.
Ooh, say that. Okay, you know what? Before we jump back into these characters, I do want to get just a snippet. You were talking a little bit about the reasoning behind certain choices, and Lena's reasoning, as well as your own. Talk about the writer's room. Like, what was that experience like? Like, what happens in there?
Yeah, like what if you have an idea for like a character and someone else, I won't say Lena because I feel like she has final say. So we'll say somebody else will be like, no, I think the character should be this way. Like how do you guys solve that, like, you know, scenario?
So very rarely in this room were there like, no, I think it should be this, or no, I think it could be that. It's more so I say A, and then writer comes behind me and it's like, okay, and then like you kind of stack and like you kind of punch it until it's where like it needs to be like in the story. Very like, and you know, some people have the strength of being able to like just come out the gate with a pitch that knocks everybody out. That is not my testimony. I'm very much a guy that has to like find it in the room, and like that's why I love like the kinetic energy of these rooms, because you know you bounce ideas and you graduate them until like it's a fully formed pitch that then can go like on the board as we're breaking episodes. But very rarely were there times where it was like, no, this should happen versus no, that should happen. We do this thing at the beginning of every season, and not just with this show, but most shows will do something that's called a blue sky. And in a blue sky, you just throw any and everything at the wall that you might want to see, you might want to hear. Like what are some like themes or like objectives for characters that are like top of mind for you? And this is really a good opportunity to like get the chemistry, I think, going in your room, because what I find like with the rooms that I've enjoyed the most is like we're very communicative with each other, but also like you telling these people some stuff you ain't told other people. Like, and like this 20s episode is a good example because a lot of Chuck's conversation and a lot of like what Chuck went through throughout the season was birthed out of conversations that I have shared, like from my personal life. Of course, names have been changed, situations have been altered, all of that good stuff. But like, I look at these episodes and like I both smile and I kind of, it's not a frown, but it's just like a really like poignant realization that like my DNA is on TV, basically. And so you get all of that, like I said, from that blue sky, you filter that down into like concrete, like story arcs, and then you chunk those arcs out over 8 to 10-ish episodes.
Awesome. Is it something too, like, because I've read before, like, especially with a lot of these series, you already know the ending, right? You know how all the characters are going to end. You know what that series or season, whatever finale is already is, and then you're kind of foreshadowing throughout the episodes. Is that how it works still, or?
Yeah, okay. It's very much a working backwards thing. Like, and that's why, you know, when most people, well, it's different now. Like back when TV was a certain way, like you didn't have to have the whole season broken. So like a Grey's Anatomy, for example, like they break story like while the show is on. Like it's a very fast paced, like network TV is like that. Streaming and cable, where like the timetable and like the turnaround is a little different. You could have all 10 of those broken before y'all start filming. So like everybody already knows what's going on before like a camera is even on for the first time.
Wow. Okay. Good to know that difference.
Yeah. I think that is very interesting. Yeah, but I also, to go back to, you know, the show and I do love and appreciate just like the dynamics of all the characters. Because, okay, so back to Chuck and Marie and the aggressive conversation that they had while they were trying to figure out like what they were going to do in their marriage. Like, you're trying to figure out yourself, and like I'm fantasizing about a couple people, and like I'm down to do whatever we need to do to like kind of figure it out type thing. I feel like that conversation stereotypically in the media, in shows and blah, it is dramatic, it is passionate. I'm not going to use any derogatory terms. I'm going to try to be as PC as possible with that. But like, it is very much so attitude thrown, and it's not
usually one or the other wants it.
Yeah, it's not like a healthy conversation ever had. It's something that, you know, I don't feel like us as Black people get shown with healthy conversations being told about what's happening in life. And this was a very great example of that. So please talk about that and that decision.
It came from that mandate that stuff be grounded. Like there's definitely a degree of wish fulfillment in this show. Like a lot of these conversations that were had and a lot of like the character turns, like they don't always happen like that for us in real life. We know that like stuff tends to be like 100 times messier or more chaotic. But I think, you know, there's this saying that I used to repeat when I was in the classroom. You can't be who or what you can't see. And so, you know, it's not, I don't view 20s as propaganda by any like way, shape or form. Like that's not what we're here to do. Like it is meant to entertain at the end of the day and like shed a light on like lives that maybe people don't always know like about. But I do think that, you know, the hope is people see these conversations on BET and like they do force conversation like in real life too. It's like, oh, could this conversation be as calm as it is on this TV screen right now? Or like the revelations between Chuck and Chance at the pool. Like dudes are used to speaking in coded language. And when they finally stopped the code and was just like, hey bro, like, yeah, you made me jealous talking to Nia, what the fuck? Like, I love like when that wall finally came out, because that's like very true to life. And like, it's those conversations that, again, I don't see enough of in real life. And so being able to put them on TV as like this, you know, idealized version of how this could go versus like what we're used to. I'm always going to want to be in the business of that because that's how things change.
That's it. And speaking of which, I want to just share, or I should say, shed a little light on the other character, Nia. Let's give her a little day in the sun too. She didn't seem to have as much of a drastic situations happening with her throughout the season, but I think it's still relevant, specifically with her career. Like, and I thought it was interesting that you guys made it a point to mention Ida B, like telling her, like, you need to get your social media together. You know what I mean? Like, and part of that, what you're trying to do as an actress, like your platform should, she said, reflect the life that you want and not the life that you have. And I feel like, especially as a creative, like that is so poignant. And she knows for me,
that's triggering. I just feel like that's triggering.
It is. And me and Instagram have a love, hate relationship.
You have a hate.
So it's
so that line is the reason I'm on an Instagram hiatus right now.
Welcome to the club.
I said, no, I ain't got it in me right now. Like, I don't necessarily need social media to reflect the life I want. I need my life to reflect the life that I want. So let me go build it real quick.
Okay, period. That's what I'm saying. Like
I don't need to take no pictures for y'all to know I'm good over here.
Here we go.
And that was the thing, right? Because I feel like what Ida said is the perception. It is what people do in the world we live in right now. So I was like, I feel super triggered by this because like this is not the life. That's not what I want to be doing like on social media. Like if I'm gonna be posting a private jet, no, I own that shit. Yes, like you know what I'm saying? Like,
no wow challenge over here.
But conversely, if I want to post a picture of like me in the corner of the frame with my eye like this, you gonna leave me alone too. It's mine.
I love that. And it's crazy because she showed, like, honestly, when she got verified, when she figured that whole thing out, the opportunity started coming. And that's kind of what I mean in terms of like that love-hate relationship. It's almost like what Ida say, you got to put on before you're really on.
But also too, the flip side of that was that her energy was different. She changed her space. She's in yoga class now, like saying you need to follow me and jumping up and down about being verified when it's supposed to be.
She was going to start upcharging them too.
Yes. So she was going to start upcharging them, and she's on this hike with freaking Big Sean. I mean, hey, Tristan, hello. I mean, what are you doing with yourself right now, Miss?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? And you're over here reading comments about what people are like. So she changed her energy. So it's
that's
like,
true.
yes,
that's true.
Yes, social media, verified, and opportunities and money and all the things are great.
There's always a cost,
but it is going to cost you. And if you're not prepared for that to come when you get there, it's going to eat you alive. Like you have to really, like right now in this building stage, like this year, 2020, I'm like, I'm trying to work on me. I'm going to figure out myself. I'm not going to care what people think as much. I'm not going to overthink things. I'm going to just go with what I feel is best. So when I get up there, I'm not going to be tripping about whatever y'all down here are talking about. Like, I don't want to be in that space. So, so I mean, there's a trade-off.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm on a break myself now just because, well, I feel like I'm just in an incubator right now, y'all. Like, not to get too like existentialist, but I just feel like I'm in like a gestation period or something like that. And I just really want to be about the work again. Like, I've been out here for 4 years this coming June. And like, I feel like I'm finally getting in a groove where I can balance like the demands of like jobs from studios and jobs from like networks and stuff like that with my own like independent passions too. And then like another thing I'll say about that is like, you know, I monetized a hobby. I used to do this for free on a school bus, like for 2 hours every day and like not think twice about it. And now like, it's how I pay my bills. It's how I, you know, sustain myself. And I think anytime you make that jump, there's like a reckoning that has to be had. And I just guess for where I am right now, a lot of that reckoning does not need to be on social media.
Thank you. And honestly,
I'm speak on it. I know you got something to say.
You know, I feel like you spoke to me just now. And honestly, even you saying what you want to do this year, because I think like literally that's where I'm at. It's the same. We could be existentialists together because that's literally the same feeling where I'm just like, you know what, let's just get it. We already in the path to get it. Let's get it. And you know, y'all get the cliff notes when it's time. Like that's just what it's gonna have to be right now.
Yeah. And that even goes with people who, you know, say things like, I don't like blanket tweets like this where people be like, they only put in their W's on social media. You don't see their L's. And I'm like, bro, I'm very blessed in that like most of my L's are not career related. Like I thank God every day that I'm able to do what I do like for a living. The L's I do take, however, are so personal and so intense and so related to like the healing of my heart center and like so many other things that like y'all don't need to see that until I'm ready to put it on TV. Because that's the only time y'all go get it.
We're not trying to be Justine Skye out here. Like, love her, but what's going on with her and Giveon? I don't know if y'all seen the tweets. I'm like,
well, it's a Summer Walker thing too. We talked about that too.
She don't care though.
She don't. Everything I heard on the streets is too much.
She don't care. After Larry, I said, okay, Summer. I just listen.
That was me too. When I saw that, I said, I give up. She got a lobster tatted on her, bro.
Listen, we can't. I mean,
we can't save everybody.
We can't save everybody.
I do want to talk about Nia and the acting class because they did that. They did a couple scenes, which I was like, I love it here. Okay, so the first one was kind of like they made Nia play some like stereotypical Black. I think this is season 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was season 1.
Like stereotypical Black character of like, I can't even remember what exactly it was, but she was basically like, oh, she had a weave. It was like, oh, that's what it was. And he was like, let me talk to you. The white guy was like, let me talk to your weave and blah, 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 right? And she had to like act essentially, quote unquote, what people would refer to as ghetto. Okay. And they had that whole back and forth. And then the next time they were in the class, she kind of flipped it on him and was like, oh, you're the white guy at the family reunion. And, you know, you're scared of being around Black people. And, oh, you have a gun. Should I be scared? Like, you know, and he felt like, oh, I felt like this was racism and like, like, and he was so offended. And I was like, okay, see, like, I didn't feel like it was a great mirror moment where I was like, yeah, like white people put this on Black, like the Black community. And then it's like when we're saying the same thing about you guys, then it's like, oh my God, it's like, you know, we're all having a cow over here. So I thought that was like well-intentioned and, you know, a good, like a really good example of, you know, just like, you know, everyone's gonna have shit to say about everybody at the end of the day, you know, like, and I don't feel like you should be punished by it, even though we are.
I like that example. And I also, because I think like stuff like that also provides like commentary on the state of the industry too, without being too like hammy about it. Because we all know it happens. Another good example of that was Ben's season 2 arc trying to make only happy movies.
Yes.
Oh yes. Oh
and
yes.
Marie was like, why?
Like, bro, like it doesn't work. Like, I forget what the movie was called. Was it called Happy People?
I think it was Happy People. I think it was Happy People, very on the nose.
Yeah, and like stuff like that, and like measuring success via like social media analytics, that's all stuff that is happening in the industry currently. And so that's another thing about this show that I'm very like thankful to be a part of, because it's my way to also like engage in critical conversations about the work that we're doing, like on a show about the work that we're doing. Like it's very meta in that regard.
Love that.
I
Love
agree.
that. Before we switch over to our game, I just want to quickly.
Oh God, I forgot about the game.
The game is happening. We
Don't
warm you up
worry.
and then we do the game.
Yeah.
But we know it was also revealed that you're part of adapting a book, Simon B. Ryman, for Sony's 3,000 Pictures, I believe. So if you could explain to everyone what exactly that means, the adapting a book situation as a writer, and the fact that you're doing it. You know, you mentioned you were a teacher, a recruiter, etc. You did Teach for America to be specific to our audience, but like explain how that kind of became you kind of joining two worlds in a sense, because I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's honestly, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I did it because it was the meeting of my two like selves in a sense. But part of being a writer is going out for what's known as an open writing assignment. That's an OWA. And OWAs, they're typically like projects that have been in various degrees of development with production companies and studios who are looking for a writer to either like take it to like the next level and like get it somewhere where it could ideally be, you know, shot, or like do a rewrite. Like there's a bunch of different OWAs, but the point is it's a project that's looking for a writer to be attached to it. And this particular OWA came across my desk earlier this year. And I had known the author, Dwayne, like I didn't know him personally, but like he had done the viral teaching videos, like where he's rapping for the kids. And so like they showed us those during Teach for America training and all of that. So like I knew who he was. And so I read the book. I was just like, yeah, I'll read the book. I'll see what it's talking about. Cause you know, I never say yeah to anything like right off the bat. I'm just like, yeah, I'll read the book. I'll see what it's given. I read the book and it was about a boy who struggled with his self-confidence. And that right away got me, because another part of me retreating into my imagination as a child was because I did struggle with my self-esteem and my confidence. And he was the same way. In his mind, he is the greatest rapper of all time. But in real life, he has a stutter, his head too big for his body, and the kids like to pick on him. And again, it's a world I could relate to. And so I then had to do what's known as like a pitch. And so what you do is you read the material, you get some ideas together about what your take on the project would be. And they'll either say, yeah, we really fuck with this, go you off to the races, here goes some money, we like do it up. And you know, then there's some are like, this ain't really what we're looking for, you can either take another crack at it or we're gonna go find somebody else. They loved my take. And so from there, it just became, you know, a very step-by-step process, turn in outline, turn in draft, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, my teaching experience definitely helped me when it came time to make that pitch. My inner child wounds also helped when it came time to make that pitch. And so it was just a really good example of like preparation, like an opportunity kind of meeting in the middle.
I just want to give you a round of applause for that. That's amazing. And also too, how you were saying about being a teacher and how that helped you. And before you, and earlier in the conversation, you mentioned how like you would do jobs that like didn't necessarily like meet up with your idea of like what you wanted to be doing, right? Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because it's like you never really know how things are going to come back around to like, help you out. Yeah. And you being a teacher clearly helped you out in this moment and in this space. So God always has a wand. You don't know what it is. You don't know what's going to come out of it, but it's always comes back full circle. So yeah.
I'm telling you, I leap. Like I might not always know what's at the bottom, but when I feel that urge, I tend to go for it. And I can honestly say every single time, like I've swallowed the fear long enough to move through it, there's been a reward on the other side of it. So
what's your sign?
Yes.
I want to say Gemini so bad. So tell me, what is it?
I am a Taurus.
Oh, she's a Taurus.
April or May.
But I love the compliment.
Well, he said leap, and she is just she's leaping. She leaps. So
but I land, boo.
No, totally, always landing. That was no shade, no tea, no she. But she. So that's why I was like, oh wait, maybe we did that. But my birthday's May 12th.
I'm May 6th.
Oh, nice.
My Taurus buddy. Okay, we love that.
I love that.
Okay, I'm gonna maybe I need to tap into more of my risk-taking abilities. That's what I need.
Well, I will say there's a lot of fire in my chart. Yeah,
Okay.
so like it's a Taurus sun in Aries rising, in Aries Mars, and Aries Mercury. Yeah, so like it's a bunch of fire earth and then like a Cancer moon to just flood it off.
That's the emotions.
Yeah, that's you singing on the phone, ordinary people, to your crush. Yes.
And then like hanging up, I'm a Taurus again. Like, all right, like I'm going to bed. We tried. We were adventurous. Let's go to sleep.
I love that. And I think also too, within your stories, between Color Creative, between, you know, this and other examples, it sounds like, listen, just get LaDarian in the room and he will figure it out from there, and he would obviously impress you. So I feel like that's amazing. But guess what?
Like
Impressing us. You know, this show,
the Black Creators Club is impressing us every single day, you guys. So continue to watch, subscribe, like, comment, rate us, do it all. We love to hear feedback. We love to see your guys' comments. The best way to show your support, again, like I said, subscribe, like, comment. You guys can follow us, everything at the Black Creators Club. That's on Instagram, that's on YouTube. Yeah, that's really all we got. That's what we on right now. We're working on the Facebook chat. Oh my God. You guys can always go and buy our merch. You see, we have it on right now.
Yes,
you're welcome. Sincerely, a Black creator. That is on.
That is dope.
I feel like you love that, LaDarian. So go
That
ahead
is
on the
dope.
site, www.theblackcreatorsclub.com.
This is our little love letter to all our Black creators, because literally nobody could do anything without us, period. Okay, period. So you guys please go and do that. Support us with the merch buy. And you guys, so now I will turn it over to Keeks to explain this game.
Yes, the game that LaDarian would love after this. Okay, it's called Name That Show. So we're going to name a few log lines, and you'll have to guess the name of the show. It could be, it's mainly a show. I was going to say it could be something pop culture related or podcast, but no, it's really just major shows on TV. So the first one: the South Side of Chicago carries daily danger, and the smallest and simplest of decisions can have life or death consequences for the residents. Life continues as the kids prep for school and their parents shuffle off to work. So that's quite a log line, but if you need a hint, we'll give you a hint. But
that could be two shows, but I'm gonna go with The Shy.
The Shy, yes. You got it.
Okay. Let's see. Deep down in the Mississippi Delta lies
P-Valley.
Mississippi. That's all.
No, you said that down in the valley where the girls get naked. I'm ready. I'm ready.
But when I tell you that is my show, okay.
I still need to catch up on it.
Cannot wait. Okay. A look at life for a group of high school students as they grapple with issues of drugs, sex, and violence. The series focuses on the relationship between two young girls trying to find their place in the world. A recovering addict, Rue, and new in town, Jules. What's the show?
That's Euphoria. Y'all watching tonight?
Yes. So excited for it. Yes.
I'm so happy I binge watched it like last year. So this is literally, I'm obsessed. Hundreds of cash-strapped players accept a strange invitation to compete in children's games. Inside, attempting a prize awaits the deadly high stakes, a survival game that has a whopping $45.6 million. That's the prize at stake.
That's Squid Games.
Squid Games.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I was one of them pink people for Halloween.
Oh, you were? Nice. You see, I still haven't watched Squid Games. I know it's seems way too gory. I need to have somebody else there.
She doesn't like blood at all.
No.
So I hate gore.
Yes.
But it was okay.
Really? No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was okay.
Why are you lying to her? No, it wasn't. No, it was not.
Just from the examples, I was like, you know what?
Okay. I was a little desensitized when I watched, so maybe that's why it was good. But yeah, I hate gore too, so I'm right there with you. That's why I've never seen an episode of The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Oh, nice. See, I did watch an episode of that one, but it's true. It's true.
See, I'm into like murder mystery and true crime and all the things. So for me,
I like murder mysteries. Just have one stab wound, and be like in the closet, like already dead.
The one stab wound that ain't getting it done.
All right, we got two more for you. So the second to last one is: a teenage boy with a sex therapist mother teams up with a high school classmate to set up an underground sex therapy clinic at school.
So I have a list of shows I wish I had created, and this is number one. Sex education.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
maybe I need to get back on it. I started watching, I'm like episode 4 in. Maybe I need to get back on.
You gotta keep going.
Yes.
Okay, you gotta keep, like, the way they weave every single one of those characters up and through that story, not dropping any of those balls. It's like the best character balancing I've ever seen.
Wow. Okay.
I love it.
Listen, if you're the writer giving me this advice, I am going back. I'm going back to watch it.
But before we go to the last one, I'm curious now. Are there anything else from your list that you said, like shows that you wish you would have written or been in the writer's room for?
I definitely wish that I could have gotten into the room for Insecure at some point. Grey's Anatomy was like the show that made me even want to do this. But actually, no, I take that back. One-on-One and Moesha were the shows that made me want to do this. But then like UPN became the CW.
The CW. Even the CW was cute because I love Gossip Girl, the original, before they.
Yeah, no, that's facts. That's facts. But like, I'm just like, y'all just kind of made me realize that like my early influences were super Black, and then like after a while they weren't because those didn't exist anymore. Like I just had that epiphany in my head.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're having epiphanies on the Black Creative Club. This is great. We love it.
Like, wait a minute, why do I only have like Black shows up until a certain point in my head? Because they all got taken off the air.
Right.
We love that.
Love that.
Okay,
wow.
So this is the last one. This should be easy for you. This comedy series looks at the friendship of two modern-day Black women, as well as their uncomfortable experiences and racy tribulations. As they navigate the tricky professional and personal terrain of Los Angeles, best friends face the challenges of being Black women who defy all stereotypes.
Gee, what's this one, y'all?
Come on. I'm going to give you a hint.
Don't,
because you just said it.
I know what it is. I'm
it
being dumb. I'm being dumb. It's
Insecure. That's when you know he was like. Go ahead.
It's Insecure.
Yes, it is.
Boom.
What a great, okay. We just got to talk about the series wrap real quick and then we'll actually get you out of here. Because what did you think about the last episode and how things ended up we'll keep it to Molly and Issa, how things ended up for both of them?
Issa Rae is mighty with that pen.
Yeah.
That script was so tight and got through so much real estate in X number of pages. I already knew she was dope. Like I've been following Issa for like years and like, I have somewhat of a professional relationship with her. And so like, I guess I just always forget that I fell in love with her because of her pen. And so seeing that episode and like how they wrapped up Molly's wrap up was like the most beautiful thing. I'm a little upset that she's not a Taurus like I thought she was, but
wait, what is she?
You said what?
What is she? Do we know?
Molly's a Scorpio.
Okay.
Yeah, Molly's a Scorpio and Issa's a Sag. But the wrap up was just so nice. I love that they didn't feel the need to tell us like what month or what year. Like it was just kind of punctuated by the birthdays and like having them bring that up like 2 episodes prior. I thought that was a great way to clue people into that happening. I just don't like Lawrence, so that's where I ended up with that. Like I was fully expecting Issa to. It's funny. I said I wanted her to go back to TSA Bay, but I was expecting her to choose herself and like not necessarily like try things again with Lawrence. But I respect why she did that, and I think in a lot of ways her choosing herself was choosing Lawrence. So
I liked how I completely agree with the Molly part of it. Like, I feel like that's exactly how I felt. And I think her entire arc and her journey was just beautiful to see throughout the seasons. I do feel like I felt some type of way with, a lot of memes and a lot of tweets, et cetera, on social media was just talking about the idea of it showing that Black women could have it all and that, Issa really showed that, et cetera. I agree with you. I don't think Issa and Lawrence was the end. I feel like that was her compromising in a sense. And I feel like she should have ended up with someone new or herself or whatever. I was team Lawrence. I'm not going to lie to you. I was for up to a point. And
I'm not going to hold you. I've been team Daniel since the first episode.
Daniel. Oh, how can you not be team Daniel?
I've been team Daniel since the very first appearance. Ever since he smiled, I was like, that's it.
That's it.
Right there. Don't go nowhere else.
Yes.
I think that's interesting because I know that I know people were kind of, one person in particular, but just kind of upset about the fact that Lawrence and Issa did end up together. I know a lot of people were like, oh my God, this is so great. Like it does show that Black women can have it all. And you have, and I think even that wrap up episode that they had, how they do the little tea talk at the end, they were kind of we wanted to kind of end it romantic, that women can have a love story, Black women can have a love story type thing. But it was interesting just to see how her and Lawrence got back together, but there was no conversation about why they got back together, what the issues were that they had, how she even decided to forgive him.
I thought the reconciliation happened really quickly. But I just chalked that up to I guess, time moving quickly. I don't know. But I'm Team Daniel. So anything we say about Lawrence, I'm just gonna be like, okay.
Okay, yes, exactly. Because at the end of the day, I feel
like in my world, the show would have ended. And I laugh when I think about it now because this would have been so messy if they would have did it. But like, if she got a DM like at the very last like part of the show, and it was a DM from Daniel, similar to the first episode DM, like of them trying to link up on her birthday. He sent her that happy birthday. And I was like, it would be so cool if they did all of this, got back together, and then the very last frame is another DM from Daniel.
That would have been everything, actually, because it's never truly wrapped like that with life. Like I don't think it's ever.
And I guess I just assumed by virtue of what she was doing in the community, there was no way she wasn't gonna run into Daniel again.
True,
but you never did.
She never did.
Didn't Kelly end up reaching out to him or something like that to do a little hookup here and there? I feel like that was what happened a couple episodes prior. Wasn't that Daniel?
No, they brought Daniel up during the sleepover.
Yes.
Of like the exit, like which of Issa's exes was like the most fuckable or something like that.
Right.
They're like, Daniel.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, but it is what it is. Oh my gosh, LaDarian, this was amazing. Is there anything else that you want to share about what you're working on, what's to come, what should we be on the lookout for? Or if not, just where our viewers can find you and just keep up with you and what you're doing?
Sure. I have another show that I wrote for coming out later this year, and I mean much later, just because of like COVID and production, but it's an Apple show that I cannot reveal the title of yet, but I ended up working with the guy who made me want to do this in the first place, like the very first showrunner that like I remember watching his show and saying, yo, I want to do what this guy's doing. Like the reason that I started carrying those composition books around, basically, I got to work on a show with him last year, and it was the most transformational experience. And so that show will be dropping on Apple in the fall. And I mean, waiting to see what Twenties is talking about with this season 3, because of course I'm trying to go back and, wreck shit up there again. Simon be rhyming. And then, just a few other things that I got germinating that I can't wait to share when it's time. And I do think like this year is finally time. So
yes. And when it is time, please come back on the Black Creators Club, because you are always welcome. You have a permanent seat at the table here.
Oh no, I fuck with y'all. I really enjoyed this. I really did. Like y'all got something great here.
Love that. Love to see it. LaDarian, amazing. Okay, well, this is amazing. And you can find me chatting about media and life motivation, all with a dash of style, at Tequila Friends.
And you guys can find me on Instagram at EvanAChapman12, talking everything Black-owned business, and of course, the Black Creators Club.
Yes, you can find the Black Creators Club at the Black Creators Club on all platforms. Thank you so much for joining us, and to remember to always abide by your ABCs. Always be creating.